Well, I want to welcome everyone tonight. It's a pleasure being here, and I've had the opportunity to read here at Woodland Pattern a number of times over the last 40 years, so it's really exciting to be back. Tonight we have a couple poets that will be featured in a new anthology. I didn't know there were Latinos in Wisconsin. And so we're going to bring both of them up to share their poems. And the first writer we want to bring up is Carmen Murguia. I was really good friends with her parents, and I've known her a long time. And she's a Milwaukee-based poet, and it's my pleasure to bring up Carmen Murguia. Come on, Carmen, big round of applause.
All right, buenas noches, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Oscar. Oh, Leon's here. So now we're complete. Leon, Brenda, your brother, we're good. It's an honor to be at Woodland Pattern Book Center once again. You know, I've had the pleasure of reading here for the marathon for the last literally 30 years. I know, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I love Woodland Pattern, and so thank you, Oscar, for hosting this once again. And come on in, be comfortable. Again, my name is Carmen Alicia Murguía, and tonight's reading has a theme, and it's not an unusual theme for me. It's an ode to women. This first piece is called Chillin' and Healing and Chillin' in my black leather lounger like my nurse Gabi told me to. Headphones on all the while, being serenaded by Comfunction's Honey Wild and Camule's Sparkle, complimented by none other than the great Rufus and Chaka Khan's In Love We Grow. Naturally, my romantic mind begins. Chillin' and healing and chilling, wondering, I know she's somewhere out there, pero donde? Is she on this exclusive Hinge app or at the cooking magazine section at Barnes & Noble, in the Sendic seafood department, or waiting for a refreshing licuado at El Rey, or on a bar stool with a Corona in hand at the Pint, or standing against the wall inside Nobody's Darling, sipping on a lemon drop? Chillin' and healing and chillin'. Lou Rawls jumps in the mix with, you'll never find, as long as you live, someone who loves you tender like I do, taking me back a few years to when she was on the other side of the gate, flight 1090 back to the A. But that's all right. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I relaxedly tell myself, knowing damn well she and I could have been the best Black Tina power couple I wanted. And here I am in my black leather lounger. Years later, I realized we weren't meant to be. And that's cool. There's a baddie out there for me, looking for this proud and loud Mexicana to read one of those ingredients from the New York Times to, and be the one who brings home a bouquet in one hand and a green drink in the other, or waiting patiently for me with a mocktail already on its way. After all, it's Friday, happy hour, and me and my baby are chillin' and healing and chilling in my black leather lounger. I wake up, pull off my headphones, wipe the wetness from the side of my lips, and check the time to take my pain meds. And I remind myself, this time, they're not for my broken heart. And I smile as the Barkays wrap up this rainy afternoon with, move your boogie body, baby. And so it goes. Thank you. My friend Barbara was asking me, we were talking about how poems come. And that one in particular, Chilling and Healing, came while I was healing from my knee replacement surgery on my right knee. And I happened to be sitting in my black lounger and listening to this music. And so music often inspires me. And being a woman and then intercepting or intertwining all these different, the musical songs, the words, just me chilling and healing, literally, it just came into play. So it's nice. This next piece is entitled, I Give Hugs as Warm as Tortillas in a Towel. And I was reading a piece, or I was watching CNN, and they were literally, ICE was rounding people up. And I was watching this on television, and then like weeks later, I found myself at Starbucks, and I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden this poem came to me. And then after I had written it, fast forward to now, after I had written it, I thought about, wait a second, I started to see that people who may be second generationers like me are also getting picked up and are also being arrested. And the Puerto Rican woman, her mother, 3 generations, the mother, the grandmother, and the daughter, who were from Puerto Rico, and they're at the airport getting stopped and getting arrested. And I was like, oh my God, the Puerto Ricans. And so I give hugs as warm as tortillas in a towel. I am a happy place at Starbucks. I am privileged, I tell myself. I'm not in hiding at Starbucks. I'm not looking over my shoulder for ice at Starbucks or wonder, will someone here turn me in? I'm not shaking from fear, wondering, will my children make it home safely after school? Or will I come home to an emptiness, a home we created with hard work, paid taxes on, listened to ranchera music in? No, I have the privilege to sit here waiting for my Verona blend with a shot of espresso. I have my passport in my backpack. I have my driver's license and my tattered Social Security card in my wallet, and my U.S. birth certificate in my glove compartment. You know, just in case. I may be a second generation U.S. born citizen of the United States. However, my last name is Murguia, my first name is Carmen, and my middle name is Alicia. And I'm not immune to what's going on. I'm a privileged second generationer, I think to myself, and I am sitting here sipping and writing, getting pimples on my 50-year-old face from worry about my people who are not privileged, who may not be able to sit in peace, to sit in tranquility, to sit quietly. Those, unlike me, who own the land their cattle graze on. Those who produce beats for DJs to sample. And those who put up roofing within hours of daylight. I know you. I may not know you, but I know you. I see you. Do you see me? Do you know I am your confidant? Do you know I am your safe place? Do you know I give hugs as warm as tortillas wrapped in a towel? I love you. You are my people. Okay. I hope your bus comes. Now this one All right, so the way this one came about, but the way the title came, and then everything just flowed from there. So I was on the phone with my friend Enid, who lives in Northern California, in San Francisco area. And so she's waiting at the bus stop because she had a car accident, and so she was waiting at the bus stop, and she said, this Northern Cali, this wind is so cold. And she said, Carmen, I have to go because my hand is getting very cold, and I'm waiting for the bus, and the bus isn't coming, and I hope it's free because I don't think I have any cash. So I said, okay, well, I hope your bus comes. And then I proceed to walk down the hallway to my bathroom. And luckily, I had my phone like sitting there. And next thing you know, I hope your bus comes proceeds to flow out. Like, geez Louise, I hope your bus comes right away so that you're not standing in the cold northern Cali, viento, for too long. And I hope your bus comes and this ride is free. And this free ride takes you to faraway places that you've always dreamed of. Put on your list of destinations to see. Place on your refri. As a reminder, continue living the life you've always wanted. To be a world traveler. And I hope your bus comes and it's super comfortable. A plush, eggplant-colored velvet seat waiting just for you, and a cozy camel cashmere throw for you to drape over your shoulders while gazing out the window a la luna y las estrellas, the same moon and stars that you look up at night and wonder, what's next for me? And I hope your bus comes and it has speakers. I mean, big, loud speakers playing your favorite Bad Bunny song, whichever one it may be, and move you to dance with the other riders ever so freely, like the spirit that moves you inside you. And I hope your bus comes. And when it arrives, the door opens and the driver welcomes you with a gleam in her eye, as if to say, you are important. You make my job pure joy by your very presence in the world. I hope your bus comes, and I hope it comes right away, Anid, and takes you right home, right to your door, so all you have to do is step right off and into your robe and chancletas, light an aromatherapy candle, and say goodnight. I hope your bus comes. Thank you. Gracias. For you, my Tejana, you arrived secretly at noon sharp, just as you had said you would, to a quiet room I rented inside a Walker's Point home many, many moons ago on Bruce Street. Dressed in your signature Ralph Lauren polo, I had it over your head by the time your soft East LA lips mouthed, "Hello, Murguia." Our time together was necessary and cut short. You were soon to be stationed in Italy, and that afternoon we paused for 3 hours to make love before we knew it would be our last. Inevitable lovers from the start, convincing ourselves our friendship was enough. Only you became my Aztec goddess that hot August Sunday. No AC whirring in the background. You see, the only sounds we wanted to remember were our racing thoughts, the slide of the breeze through the window, our hearts beating, our rapid breaths, in between white algodón sheets on that bed that longed for only your brown curves, the sweet of your back. I turned to kiss and I whispered, "Buenas tardes, corazón." Button jeans and an open white linen shirt waited patiently for your hands to arrive. But first, we did what we always did, dance barefoot to a nice David Lee Garza ranchera, mouthing the words, "Quédate cerca a mí, regálame una noche más. Stay close to me, gift me one more night." It was that accordion sound that brought our bodies closer, your breast on mine, your small hand in my palm, and mine guiding your steps, now sweating from our urgency. I made my way to the edge of the bed where I sat, and you stood between my legs, and I stared at your undeniable beauty. And as our song came to an end, a tear rolled down your precious face, and I pulled you towards me so you could feel the salt of mine coming down on your sweet belly. This was our final time together, just tú y yo, two mujeres so deeply in love, saying adios. Thank you. Genevieve. Okay. Man, I wish I had a boombox right now, just here. So I'm going to imagine it. Okay, so imagine me with the boombox on my shoulder and it's raining. And I say, "Genevieve, Patiently waiting, heart beating, stomach tight, feeling all right. My best black tasso alba button-up faded buffalo jeans. I'd be outside your job with a boombox in the rain, loudly playing La 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 Means I Love You by Tierra, until you came to the window in light blue scrubs at the part they sang, let me hold you in my arms, girl, and fill me with your charms. I'm sure that you will see. Rain on my face and hands holding on tightly to that boombox as if it was my last chance to prove my love to you. And suddenly, Genevieve, you touched the window, palm wide, and smiled that smile of reassuring tenderness that I was the one for you. And just like that, when the song ended, you went back to your night shift, and I walked away singing, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time? Didn't I? Now, the last two, so the one about For You, My Tejana, that happened, gosh, that occurred, that whole experience occurred, I want to say 2002, before we were supposed to go to Mexican Fiesta. She came over and we never made it to Mexican Fiesta, but it was 2002. I didn't write this poem. Like, that's how deep they stay with me. I didn't write that poem until last summer, you know, and when I was in my new place, and I was right before my surgery, and I was just happened to be at home, and it came, For You, My Tejana. And I must have been listening, again with the music, David Lee Garza. I was listening to some ranchera Tejano music, and it came. And that was from 2002. That's crazy. And then Genevieve is someone who, you know, the one that got away is Genevieve Aguilar. Okay, like, and now it's recorded. No name names. Just so you know. No name names, right. No names. And she's this amazing nurse and activist. She's Chicana, lives out west, and just an amazing human being, an amazing woman, and that always stayed with me. And so I must have seen a boombox or something. It was raining, and that came to me. So many things just inspire me, like left and right. This next one, an ode to Kamala. Lovely looking, illustrious lady, ambitious, amazing, and affectionate Asian, fierce, fine, feminine female with great finesse. Brilliant, black, badass, you are bold, beautiful beyond. Passionate, pearl-wearing, donned in pink and green, priceless, polished person. Madame VP, modern mujer, move mountains and mayhem. May she shine for a lifetime. I'm not ready to say goodbye to her, so that's her ode to Kamala. This piece, an ode to Louisa, a Blue Lotus lady, this is one that I hand wrote. I didn't write in the phone. I didn't dictate it. I actually hand wrote it. And it was, I think of my friend Louisa, who's a healer and just an amazing, easy, loving poet. And I think of her as a blue lotus. And so I said, what is a blue lotus? Let me look this up. So I did some research, and this all fell into place. An ode to Louisa, a blue lotus lady. Blue lotus lady, triumphant and wise, your affection, direction, and deep connection has expanded my soul. Pure in thought, pure in action, pure in spirit. Blue lotus lady, you transcend worry, doubt, fear with hope, love, and peace. Irresistible and inspiring are you, who arrived with ease one summer breeze day into my life, poems in one hand and Richard's in the other. Nature's sun on your skin, graceful and white, healing us at midnight. Blue Lotus Lady, beneath deep waters, you surrender to the calm before a storm in your element of self-realization. Blue Lotus Lady, reflecting within, immerse us in your creativity, in your poetry, in your intensity. You are notable, stylish, elegant. You are a Blue Lotus Lady. Thank you. This one I'm going to dedicate to Liat.
Now you're gonna make me cry.
Okay. Leah gave me peace. Leah gave me a home when I had no home. She gave me a space where I could rest in peace. Her dog Tanuki would sleep at the edge of my bed. You know, he'd run to underneath the bed when there was shooting outside, and it was my room that I regrouped. I recleaned myself after my mother had passed. And she's Jewish, I'm Catholic, but she allowed me to be my whole self there. And she introduced me to a new world of people. And of people from all over the world, and people of different backgrounds and different ways of thinking and of being. And she made this home feel so right, so timely, and I'm very grateful. And this piece came one summer day. No, was it? Yeah. When I was at the beach and had gone to the beach, because I hadn't moved until, I want to say August. And it was July of last year. I ended up staying with her for a year. It was getting real comfortable. And, originally it was going to be October. We said, hey, this is working out. That's how she was. She free-flowed. She flowed with life. And so I had my feet in the sand. And this poem came. And it's called Beach Life. No more struggle, no more strife. Sand at my feet, keep me feeling that everything's all right. Got clean gas in my tank, healthy food on my table, a Zen roof over my head, a safety net with no holes, and everything's all right. Big blue skies look like heaven above, and even though my parents are gone, I'm not alone. I've got Ma and Pa watching over me, and that keeps me feeling like everything's all right. Sun on my face, nothing can replace. Familia I created, familia I am related. Together we are one. Connection, affection, direction, reflection. No more drama, no more fights, no more sleepless nights, and everything's all right. Big lake water, I dive in deep to God's gift of nature. This feeling is so real, nothing else can appeal to this feeling that everything's all right. Thanks. I'm going to close with a spiritual piece. It's called El Bastón, the cane. And again, they just come. I was at my desk in River West, and I used to use a cane before I had the surgery, and it was just leaning on the wall. And I was supposed to be working, and I looked at the cane, and all of a sudden a poem was coming. and it's called El Bastón. And then I looked up different ways that you could say cane, different words for cane. And bastón, I said, how do you, I said, is it going to be a poem in Spanish or is it going to be a poem in English? Because the word bastón came up. And so, El Bastón. And I thank you all for tonight. I thank you for your time, your attention, and for being here, and for your presence. I can feel the energy in the room, and I feel the love, and I feel Woodland Pattern just always embracing me. Thank you, Oscar. El Bastón. Dios es mi bastón. Yes, God is my cane. Dios me lleva when I can no longer carry myself. Dios es mi bastón. Yes, God is my walking stick. Dios me ayuda when there are times I am unable to help myself. Yes, God is my reed. Dios me levanta just when I need him to lift me up physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Yes, God is my shaft. Dios es mi bastón, and he does not allow me to fall en cualquiera forma. Yes, God is my rod. Dios me sostiene when I am wobbly, feel like I'm about to fall, when my balance is weak and my knees can no longer steady me. God steadies me. I need not be afraid. After all, Dios es mi bastón. Thank you.
Let's give one more round of applause for Carmen Murguia. And let's give a big round of applause to Mike Nguyen and the staff here at Woodland Pattern for bringing us here. There are some books from Carmen. She has some chapbooks out there, and also from Richard. So before you leave, it'd be good to support your local artists. So this reading I did. Carmen, I'm going to yell at you if you keep talking. No, just kidding. But I used to be a principal for 30 years.
And I used to be the kid that
Yeah. So I actually got really good at yelling at people, but don't tell anybody. I'm retired now, so now I'm nicer. But so this is a book we did in 1989. I think some of you weren't born yet, but it was an anthology of 20 writers. I was working at the Humanities Committee Center, and I had just helped create what became Latino Arts back then. And I had gotten my poems published in a small chapbook, and it really empowered me to take my own writing seriously. And I said, I want to do that for other people. And when I traveled to California with my first book, a number of people said, well, I didn't know there were Latinos in Wisconsin. So I said, it's always good to steal the good ideas. So I figured we would use that as the title of the poem of the anthology, because it's both a statement and a question at the same time. So since then, we did another anthology. This one had 20 poets in 1999 as part of the Wisconsin Sesquicentennial. We had another book of 30 poets and writers. And then in 2014, two of the former poet laureates of Milwaukee, Madison, they did the third anthology. And we had 40 different writers. And now we're going to do a fourth anthology that'll come out this fall. And I know some of you are wondering if, usually anthologies, you do them, and where's the book? Well, the book's going to come out, and one of the reasons why we schedule these, what I call pre-publication readings, is to find more writers. Because usually most anthologies, they have the major writer, and he calls his 10 friends, and that's the anthology. So I've tried to make this more organic, and we'll have readings in Appleton, Racine, Oshkosh, La Crosse. To find more, I just found out the poet laureate of Wausau is a Latina. So if you're listening, send me your poems. But next I want to bring up Richard Vargas. He's been been in Madison for a couple years, but he's been out west. And what inspires me about Richard is every year I've known him, he's come out with a new book, and that not only shows his dedication to the craft as a writer, but his ability to connect with people looking for fine writing. So he's been an inspiration to me and others, and I want to bring up Richard Vargas.
Thank you, Oscar, for having me and including me in that anthology. I'm looking forward to that. And I want to thank Mike for having me here for the first time. It's kind of been in my bucket list for a while. I moved here in 2020. I moved to Monona, Wisconsin, which is just east of Madison. So I've been here almost enough to be a Packer fan. Doesn't. You go to Woodman's on a Sunday and everybody's wearing green. Okay. So this first poem I'm going to read is from the book that came out in 2022, How a Civilization Begins, on Mouthfeel Press out of Texas. This poem is called It's All About the Poem. This is how it begins, except there is no beginning. There never was. Be the blank sheet of paper, crisp and clean, pure and unmarked. Be still and quiet as letters appear to become words, becoming images, invoking feelings passing through the void. Be the space between the lines and stanzas. Be the infinite. There is no I. The me does not exist, only the empty vessel. The beauty of this moment is every time this is read, the energy expands beyond itself. This is where it ends, except it never ends. Be still, be quiet. It happens. It is. Thank you. I lived in Albuquerque from 2002 to 2015. That's where I got my MFA at the University of New Mexico. And this is one of my Albuquerque poems, Milagro number 9. After telling Lisa the only plant my maternal grandmother cultivated was just outside her front porch, and how every time I was sick with one thing or another, I always got a cup of hot mint tea, and the aroma was fresh and clean like right after the rain stopped, so that no matter how shitty I felt, the tea always left me feeling a little better than before. She comes home the next day with a small potted mint plant for our garden. The crisp scent of a leaf rolled between my fingers makes dormant memories buried deep in my past flower and bloom. My grandma's house in Compton, where I climbed her majestic fig tree as high as I could to that special branch where I would sit and look out to see what I could see. The sticky juice of red watermelon dripping down my chin on hot summer days. And my Aunt Dolores taking me across the railroad tracks to buy me a bag of penny candy and the latest Spider-Man or Fantastic Four comic book. Healing memories of Grandma's mint-scented hands, my love's gift to me. This one goes back to July 4th, 2019, and it's titled The Foe of July, Albuquerque, New Mexico. This year, the Rio Grande is a brimming artery pumping life into the heart of this high desert land, where coyote scat dries hard on a dusty dirt trail in the late morning sun. At the water's edge, I set to fire the bundle of sage carried in my hand, gently wave sacred smoke around me, through me. I turn to the west, where an ocean, almost dead, spews up whales with bellies full of plastic and fish with glow-in-the-dark tumors as radiation from across the sea drips into the water and no one gives a fuck. Rotating, I turn to the north. Hear the cracking of ancient glaciers retreating while floating ice caps break into chunks, clung to by starving polar bears so lean you can count their ribs, as we show our concern by posting frowning emojis on our Facebook. I face east, where today machines of war will be displayed as a reminder we are governed by those who mock compassion and goodwill towards those in desperate need, governed by those who sow seeds of hate and flaunt the sword, while the egos of the rich gleam and shine like the golden calf they worship. Facing the south, I can only weep, seeing the floating corpses of a father and daughter holding on to each other, together fleeing the horrors and atrocities taking over their homeland, fleeing into the hateful clutches of an ugly people ruled by fear who rip children from the arms of parents, locking them up in cages of genocidal dreams and the toxic gasps of a dying empire. Today, you can keep your beer and hot dogs, your fireworks and parades dripping with phony flag-waving citizens who don't know the words to their precious anthems. Today, I will mourn, hang my head, heavy in shame, with tearful eyes, watch sage smoke drift on currents of wind rising into an unforgiving sky. Dropping the sage into the river, my humble offering, the river spits it back. Thank you. This is my Cinco de Mayo poem. Everybody's Mexican, kiwi mango flavored margaritas, chips made with organic non-GMO corn, mild salsa from Trader Joe's, designer tequilas costing mucho dinero. Everybody's Mexican, fake mustache, sombrero, guacamole, and oye, como va. Everybody's Mexican, job stealing, drug dealers, rapists, and criminals, no good for nothing, house cleaning, car washing, lawn mowing, crop picking, cooks, and nannies. Easy to be a Mexican for just one day. Hard to be a Mexican 24/7 in the USA. Thank you. This was my most recent book that came out in 2023, Leaving a Tip at the Blue Moon Motel. I took the picture of the toilet roll hanging on, so that's my artwork. Leaving a Tip at the Blue Moon Motel. I always take it for granted, the dusted chest of drawers and nightstands, the well-made bed with the crisp sheets folded and tucked at each corner, sure to bring a smile to the grumpiest of drill sergeants. The snow-white towels, the clean tub and toilet, a commendable attempt to add a little class with that peculiar folding of the first square of toilet paper hanging from the roll. Rarely giving a thought to the women who roam the hallways in the morning, knocking on doors, looking for empty rooms ready for them to do their magic. No thought given to the kids they raise, the bills paid late, the men who leave and don't come back. They pick up after all of us, oblivious strangers passing through on our way to a better place than this. I leave a $5 bill and loose change on the table as I check out. my small token of appreciation for these hard scrubbing angels doing their best to provide a place to rest on the long way home. And this one's kind of timely. It's called The Pope's Poop. I'd buy it. The little brown speck sealed tight in a small glass vial. A gold cross and the words, Il Papa's Holy Poopy, printed on the label. On a warm and bright Sunday morning, I would open it, mix the contents with a bag of soil from Home Depot, then plant tomatoes and watch them grow. Big and juicy, sweet, a real homegrown treat, just like the ones the saints and angels like to eat. This poem is called Menudo. Menudo, everybody here knows what menudo is, right? Yeah. It's a tripe soup. It's hominy and tripe, very spicy soup. It's one of those iconic dishes that a culture has, which they always claim is the best cure for a hangover, which it is. Menudo. I remember the morning car ride to the Compton neighborhood market. Just the two of us. My dad would walk in carrying the empty pot and lid, set it on the counter and ask for it to be filled with our Sunday morning breakfast. While he picked up a package of warm corn tortillas, I checked out the colorful piñatas and sweet-smelling pan dulce still warm from the oven. He would notice and buy a few conchas and fruit-filled empanadas, watch the smile light up my face. The drive home was slow and gentle, making sure we didn't spill any of our orange-red bounty. I never cared for the oregano, but a squeeze of lemon, a spoonful of chopped onion, and a warm tortilla rolled up in my small fist planted the seed for this poem to bloom. When I lived in Albuquerque in 2009, there was a big development of new housing on the west side, and so there were all these homes going up. And a woman walking her dog by an empty field, dirt lot, her dog found a human bone. So the authorities went out there and they found the remains of initially 13 women who were buried there on the west side. So this poem, I'm starting out with just a little note from the news. Starting early in February, investigators recovered 13 sets of skeletal remains from a once remote section of Mesa, now being developed as a residential subdivision. 4 have been identified. They are among a list of 16 women reported missing between 2001 and 2006. Albuquerque, KRQE.com, March 27, 2009. And I've titled this poem, 13 Angels Rising. They say good is greater than evil, and if it is, then the dead shall rise and walk again, right out of their west side graves, past the tracks of generic cardboard neighborhoods, past the cars cruising Central Avenue, driven by men with bloodshot eyes and Budweiser breath, who wave dollar bills in the air like honey-coated flypaper. And if so inclined, the dead will reinvent their renewed lives, so that closed fists open up, become soft as pillows where dreams of violence fade away, the way a bruise heals when kissed by a seraph's lips. Families, babies, and friends rejoice, embrace the return from the internal night, the cruel night, especially now as the sun's light shines down and warms the sidewalk beneath their feet. especially now as butterfly wings with a gossamer sheen sprout from the satin skin stretched over once battered shoulder blades. Healed and whole, especially now as they show us how to fly and rise above the nature of our sin. Not a moment too soon to come back and save us from ourselves. Inclined to walk unafraid among the demons we all have within and show us how, like a pebble dropped in water, calm and still, our inhumanity ripples outward, touching one and all. This book is coming out in July. It's called the Screw City Poems, and it's specifically centered around the town of Rockford, Illinois. It's a collection of poems dealing with people and places from Rockford, where I had a lot of interesting experiences. This one is called It's a Living, and it was actually read by Garrison Keillor on Writer's Almanac when it came out. It's a living. It's called customer service, trying to help my fellow man make sense of the medical insurance some slick carpetbagging agent talked him into buying. There are no easy answers. Like today, the guy on the phone was speaking with restraint, holding on to his dignity. But I know begging when I hear it. His voice cracked as he told me the doctor tending to his dying wife was getting phone calls from one of our case managers, being pressured to get her released from the hospital. Please, he said, please ask them to stop. She's in so much pain. My wife, my best friend, she's in a lot of pain and there's nothing they can do. Please stop the phone calls. I tell him he's got us mixed up with someone else. There is no record of any phone calls in his wife's file. But I know better. I want to put him on hold. Go find the sterile room with white walls where faceless people hold jelly donuts gripped tight in their pudgy hands as they put dollar signs on the way we die. I want to stick my head inside, remind them that sooner or later we all finish the race. Sometimes it ain't too pretty, but in the end, if we're lucky, we'll have the love of a precious few. Maybe the ability to stare death in the eye. So let this one go. Just leave her be. But instead, I assure the guy I'll do my best to find out what's going on. Wait for him to hang up. Decide to take my break 10 minutes early. Times like this, I wish I'd taken up smoking. I'm not a big fan of boxing, but there were certain fighters that really grabbed my attention and I would follow them. I don't do it at all anymore, but back in the 80s and the 90s. And there was one boxer, Julio Cesar Chavez. You'll recognize the fight I'm talking about if you followed any of his career in this poem. It's called Tequila. Drinking it straight is kind of like climbing into the ring with a real pro. One of those Mexican fighters with a record of 40 wins by knockout and 2 losses by TKO. So the first shot goes down like liquid fire, but man, you know you're alive. Dancing and juking, keeping a safe distance, scoring with jabs and uppercuts at will. It feels so good. You order another, more fire in the gut. Forget the lemon and salt. You ain't no sissy. Your opponent has a trickle of blood squirting from the corner of his eye. The black man with the silver head of hair sticking straight up, sitting at ringside, is smiling his toothy grin, blinding you with the timeless flash of polished gold. Hell, you say? This is so easy. Another, please. And this shot is smooth. The fire now more like a hot kiss. The young woman on the bar stool next to you is impressed and squeezes your knee. The Mexican boxer begins to wear down, his breathing telling you his heart is going to explode any minute. He's yours for the taking. You order another and another, admiring the Amazon strutting around the ring, holding up the posters, announcing what round it is, knowing you can have your pick, or maybe all of them later. Then, sensing it's time to finish him off, you decide to go in for the kill. And suddenly, he switches his stance. You were fighting a right-hander, but now he's a lefty. And you walking into a headshot that lowers your jaw to the bar, your back to the ropes. He begins to jab hot pokers of leather into your ribs, tenderizing you like one big piece of meat. And while lowering your arms to protect the body, you hear your date ask from far, far away, Can, you, still, drive. Feel her hands in your pocket searching for the keys as Tequila grins back at you with scheming conquistador eyes. Thank you.
Like I said, Richard has some of his books outside, and let's give him a round of applause. I'm from a family of 13 children. And when you're from a family of 13 children, you got to sort of figure out your way. And I was number 8. And when I was in 9th grade, I was 4'10". You had to be 4'10" to be the mascot. I was actually the Washington Beaver. I think it was either my overbite or my great personality that fit into the costume. But I had one brother who I had to learn to pick my words, and so I learned how to be funny. And I learned I only had a few seconds to say something, because with a large family, everybody's talking, and at some point they have to breathe, and then you have to jump in there. And I think all that helped me become a poet, because I had to really think about what I wanted to say and how to kind of crystallize it. And so, so this first poem was inspired by a story by my oldest brother, and it's called Lost and Found Language. It started in 1949 when my oldest brother came home from Lincoln Elementary School in Racine, Wisconsin, after flunking kindergarten because he spoke no English, and declared to my parents that the rest of the kids have to learn to speak English if we planned on staying here in the United States. So my parents lined up the rest of the 7 younger children, had to straighten up, tilt our heads back, and took turns reaching into our mouths and took turns slicing our tongues in half, making a simple but unspoken contract that from then on, the parents would speak Spanish and the children would respond back only in English. How do you lose a native language? Does it get misplaced in the recesses of your brain, or does it never quite stick to the sides of your mind? For me, it would always start with a question from a brown-faced stranger, ¿Hablas español? Which meant, do you speak Spanish? Which meant if they had to ask me if I spoke Spanish, this was not going to be a good start at having a conversation. My face would start to flush with redness, and before I had a chance to stammer the words, I could see it in their eyes, looking at my embarrassed face, searching for an answer that they already knew. As I walked away, I knew what they were thinking. Who is this guy? How can he not speak his mother's tongue? Where did he grow up anyways? Racine? Doesn't he have any pride in knowing who he is or where he came from? I tried to reply, but as the words in Spanish floated down from my brain, they got caught in my teeth, the rocks of shame. I spoke in half-tongue. My future wife taught me how to speak Spanish, mainly by being Colombian and not speaking English. And I'd already known the language of hands and love, which got me confident enough to reach deep down myself to find the beautiful sounds and Latin rhythms that lay deep within me. And although I still feel my heart jump a beat when someone asks, ¿Hablas español? Now the Spanish resonates within me and echoes back, Sí, ¿y usted también? And today as I talk with our Spanish-speaking students in our GED program at school, they can not only feel my words, they can feel my warm heart splash ancient Spanish sounds off my native tongue that has finally grown whole again. And I wrote my first poem when I was 6 years old, and it was about the first person I saw on TV who I thought I looked like. I was searching for that person, and luckily he was as good looking as me. He was Elvis Presley, so. Yeah. So thank you, Brenda, for laughing. And this poem is called Elvis Presley Was a Chicano. In the latest edition of the National Enquirer, it was revealed that Elvis Presley, yes, the legendary Elvis, was a Chicano. Some fans were outraged. Critics cite his heritage as an important influence. I was stunned. Can you believe it? Well, I didn't really at first, but then I remembered his jet black hair, with the little curl in the front, sort of reminded me of my cousin Chewy. And Elvis always wore those tight black pants like the ones in West Side Story, or a baggy pinstripe zoot suit with a pair of blue suede shoes to match. Then I figured, no, it couldn't be. So I traced his family back to his hometown, a little pueblo, a little city outside Tupelo, Mississippi, a son of migrant sharecroppers looking for a way out of rural poverty. Let's see, Elvis joined the army, stayed overseas in Germany. Maybe he enlisted with his homies, because I read somewhere that Chicanos have won more Silver Hearts and Purple Stars than any other ethnic group. Maybe Elvis was a Chicano. I wasn't convinced yet. Elvis was a dancer, the ladies' man, and always won over the heart of the pretty girl that hated him in the beginning of the movie. He had to be a Latin lover or something. Elvis played guitar like my Uncle Carlos, always hitting the same four notes over and over again. But now I think I figured it out. It was probably that Colonel Parker's idea to change his cultural identity, since it was just after the second big war and the Zoot Suit riots. It wasn't the right time for a Chicano superstar to be pelvising around on the Ed Sullivan Show late on a Sunday night. I think it was just a hoax to convince more people to buy that newspaper. If Elvis Presley really was a Chicano, he wouldn't have settled to die alone in an empty mansion with no family around, no familia around who cared enough to cry. And like I mentioned, my mother had 13 children, and then she went and got a job. So my mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. My mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. She makes daily visits, checks her charts, shares small talk with the patients as she brightens up their rooms. My mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. She's always the first one at the scene, just like the television doctors, whether in the birthing room at my niece Amanda's arrival or on the operating table, medicine's trapdoor. My mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. My mother translates for the Spanish patients, especially after surgery. She touches their fear with words that can heal. My mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. Surprisingly, there is little blood on her pink uniform, just a day's sweat and dirt. You wouldn't know she was a cleaning lady if you looked in her eyes. My mother is a social worker who works in a hospital. I have my older brother here, Carlos, who really got me involved in the arts when I was in college. So when I was 15 years old, he took me up to the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh on a kind of a weekend visit, and we partied the whole weekend. And I said, you know what? I think I want to go to college. It was kind of inspirational. So. And then when we got to college, I picked the one person to be my roommate that I probably would get in a fight with, and that was my brother. So my brother and I were roommates, and this one's called Solitary Confinement. On January 13, 1974, I was assigned a single room in the Clemens Hall dormitory at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. This was after my brother Jesse and I had our last fight over property rights. And right in the middle of the ruckus of brown fists, my other brother Carlos stepped in, gave a disgusted look, and smashed his favorite Santana album in an effort to catch our attention to what we were doing to ourselves. But that was 2 weeks ago. And on the 13th of January, my first night sleeping in a room alone after 17 years of sharing the same bed with alternating brothers, the pipes in the ceiling began to carry a load of whispers and smirks along with the heat. And the walls started to crouch among the shadows, trying to snatch my blanket. And all the footsteps, Brianna, all the footsteps were pausing in front of my door as if suggesting something was wrong. And I decided that even though I was in the middle of a building with several hundred students, it was crazy to feel alone. So I opened my door in a hurry and ran downstairs to my brother Jesse's room, and he understands, and I don't have to explain, and we didn't argue either. Oh. So since it's Mother's Day, I have a Father's Day poem. I thought I had a Father's Day poem here. It's still Father's Day. Father's Day 2004. So my children are old enough to know it's Father's Day, but the younger two are not old enough to work or buy gifts. So my girlfriend got the gift, an electronic Sudoku game, and my daughter and son gave it to me. No, it wasn't wrapped, except with the delight on their faces, giving me something they knew I would like. My 19-year-old, who just got his first summer college area subleased apartment, but not enough money for food or toilet paper, decided to text me this message: Happy Father's Day, Pops, at 9:33 p.m. the night before, just in case he forgot to wake up before noon the next day. My other son, the 18-year-old, who headed off to college early, sent me a e-card. Happy Father's Day. It's too bad I can't be home this weekend, but happy Father's Day. And it reminded me that just being remembered is the greatest gift one can ask for from teenagers on Father's Day. And let's see. I decided I thought I would be a bachelor all my life. That was the plan. And then at 32 I got married, and 34 I already had 2 kids, and at 36 I had 4 kids under 6. So, I really tried to. I think we all do as parents. We want to provide a better opportunity for our children than we had, and in hindsight, I had an amazing opportunity growing up. But I was driving with my youngest son from a t-ball game, and as we were talking, he said, "Hey, Dad, can I change my name when I get older?" So the only good news is I got really kind of pissed and all like, and this is the beginning of that poem. Why did you name me Javier, Dad? Why did you name me Javier, Dad? My son Javier was asking me this question as we were driving home from his t-ball game. Can I change my name when I get older? Each one of my 3 other children had asked me the same question when they were about 5 or 6 years old. My oldest son, Diego, asked me one night when I was trying to read him a go-to-bed book, why was I named Diego Jesus Margil Barbosa Mireles? I informed him as my first child, in which my wife let me pick the name, that he was named after the famous Mexican muralist Diego Rivera, and found out later that my Diego was born almost on the same day as his namesake, 100 years minus 1 day. He was named Jesus after my older brother, whom I thought would never have children, and named Margil after my grandfather. But he was still not impressed. He still thought I should have probably named him Bill or Tom, or another name that doesn't take up too much space, and no one would notice the first day of school. Sergio Andres, my second oldest son, asked me the same question when I was trying to get him out of the bathtub. He said the kids had a hard time saying his name and came up with words like surgery and Sergio Valente, and words we can't say in a family-style poem. Finally, he said, "Didn't you know any English names, Dad?" I told him his mother and I purposely picked Spanish names that could not be easily changed to English ones, like Carlos to Chuck, Juan to John, and Jose to Joe. But when my daughter, Lorena Pilar, asked me right before I had fallen asleep trying to read to her why she was named Lorena, I told her it was the most beautiful name we could ever think of. And why would she want to be one of the thousands of Jessicas or Ambers or Tiffany's? She was very hurt and thought I was punishing her or something. Which gets us back to my youngest son, Javier, who was initially named Oscar Javier. But after less than 24 hours of repeatedly hearing, little Oscar, little Oscar, little Oscar, in the nursery room of the hospital, my wife and I decided that we would not subject him to 20 years of that. So we switched his name to Javier Oscar. And I was ready to give my personal cultural pride speech to my 6-year-old and was about to open my mouth wide with advice when suddenly I got this inspiration to keep quiet and say nothing and listen to what my son had to say. You know, Dad, I want to change my name when I get older to Oscar, so I can be more like you. Carmen, you got to be at that honor. Let's see. Oh. Okay, and then I as your kids get older, so I have a second version of the poem, Why Did You Name Me Javier Partouf? A couple of years ago, I wrote a poem, Why Did You Name Me Javier, Dad? Which looked at the meanings behind my 4 children's names, which was complicated by the fact that they had Latino names and we lived in Madison, Wisconsin. Diego Jesus Mireles has become Colombicano, his screen name for instant messaging. It stands for half Colombian and half Chicano. And it stands out in the world, in the virtual world of names like Monkey Lover, Pep Pills, and Who Killed Kenny. Lorena Pilar Barbosa Mireles has become Chicana Hottie 27. I can figure the Chicana part fairly easy. I'm not even going to touch the hottie thing. The number 27 gets a little more confusing since she is only 15 years old, but she was born on the 27th of the month. Javier Oscar Barbosa Mireles has never been called Junior or Oscar II, just Javier Chavs by his brother Diego. His screen name is Chicano Player 25, which at 12 years old is a lot to live up to. Sergio Andres Barbosa Mireles goes by the name of Pimpa Smurf, which I think he first signed on in 6th grade. He's been too lazy to change it, or I think he only hears the pimpin' part. Plus he forgot Smurfs are little blue creatures from the Saturday morning cartoon scene. So as I tally up the score, 3 of my 4 children have self-identified an unmistakable Latino name in cyberspace to let others know who they are and where they came from. In this era of blending in and forgetting why, they have stepped back, reached inside as something as simple as a name. And I got one more poem somewhere. Let's see. In 1970, I had my first volunteer job, and I was in the Revolutionary Youth Movement's free breakfast program. So a friend of my family, Jesse Chuy Garcia, would pick me up every morning at 6, and we would make meals for kids at a storefront church. So I did that my whole junior year, and I got up every morning at 6, and I was ready to go, so I learned. And then in my job at Omega School, where I worked for the last 30 years and just retired, we were helping kids with education and food. So it kind of came full circle. So this is called Free Breakfast Program 1970. 17 short, dark, low-income faces scrubbed with sleep and wrapped by wrinkled clothes at the too early time of 6:45 a.m., waiting outside with untied sneakers at the Cristo Rey Church storefront. In the church kitchen, 8 separate hands weaved fried eggs, toast, and pancakes onto paper plates. This was the Revolutionary Youth Movement's free breakfast program. No applications, no waiting lines, no guidelines, no social history, no 30-day waiting period, no TV commercials. Just a revolutionary idea that before going to school, hungry children need to eat breakfast as well as munch on textbooks. Thank you. Final words?
Thank you all so much. One more round of applause for everybody. Carmen, Richard, thank you. Oscar, thank you for reading and for organizing this. It's been really wonderful, and I'm looking forward to the anthology. Thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful evening. Oh, yes, and of course, Richard and Carmen have books out there, so, you know. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Yeah, right.
Thank you.